Hey, I'm Eric Haugen. There's my social media information. Go ahead and like my videos and subscribe to my channel. If this content is enriching to your life, it helps me out when you do that. Today, we are talking about the textural device that is the pedal steel guitar. These things are cool. Okay, before I do that, let's talk about how you do what I do. People are curious about my setup, so I just take videos. Ready? I got one Canon T5i aimed at me, one Canon T5i on my couch. There's my notes. This is my Fessenden pedal steel. We got a couple of pedals going on down here. I'm just using the Phase 90 because I love that sound. TC Electronic Flashback, Silvertone 1484, Beyer M160 ribbon mic. Sound is captured on an lav mic over there, and then this is my setup here, little cheap tube preamp and a field recorder. Notice cloud lifter. There we go. That's what's happening there. Okay, you know, people are curious about pedal steel. I sure am. I've had one. I've had this one about 13 years. I've had a pedal steel around. Let's talk about it. So first thing you're going to notice, it has many strings. I think, yeah, I had a camera over here so you can see that too. 10 strings. And this one is tuned in the Emmons E9 tuning. Ready for this? B, D, F sharp, E, G sharp. Wait, is that right? B, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, B, E, G sharp. Watch out for this though. D sharp. So that means that this has a major 7, but it also has a dominant 7. So you cannot, on this instrument, successfully just go like that. Well, you can, but it's not going to sound that good. So the first thing about these is that tuning them requires patience. Because you have to not only tune the 10 strings, but check it. You have to tune all this over here with this device to make sure your pedal movements, watch, if I hit these pedals, watch this move over here. That's why I have camera 2, so you can see what's going on with my knees and my feet or foot. Yeah, and I also, I have a volume pedal over here. You can't quite see it in shot, but yeah. To get these sounds, which, again, this is a one-trick pony of an instrument, but boy howdy, the one trick it does is so cool. So the next thing I want to talk about is, you got this crazy tuning. You have to tune not only that, but that also. A lot of patience. This is definitely an instrument for someone with a lot of patience. The next thing, and this isn't really a pedal steel lesson. This is just me talking about pedal steel, just talking about stuff I like because that's what I do these days. If you were to buy a pedal steel, the first thing that any book would tell you, by the way, DeWitt Scott's Pedals, How to Play Pedal Steel Guitar. I'll find a picture. That's the book to get, to learn from. It'll cover a lot of stuff. There's grips. Us guitar players are used to being able to just strum. You can't. There's kind of those three. I'm not going to worry about. I'm just going to tell you that there's groups of strings that are E. That's an E chord. There's an E chord. There's an E chord. There's an E chord. So that means you'll be safe if you're on those. That's a big deal. That's a very big deal. So that means here's an A chord. And I know that, okay, if I want the 9th, I can do that. I think there's the 6th. I think there's the 7th. So there's certain things you just know you can add. There's my sus4. Do you see my foot come down? Watch that again. Yeah, I don't use claws, by the way. I'm a bad boy. I'm what the purists don't like me. I'm not very good at this instrument, by the way. I'm not an expert at pedal steel. This is not coming from, a Nashville pedal steel expert. I am much more one of those guys, one of those hipster jerks Just like, I can do this. I love it so much. All right, so if you're curious about pedal steel, and they're like, maybe I should do that. My main thing is, are you a person who understands music theory very well, specifically how chords are created and then how chords work in keys? If you can do that, you'll be able to figure out this instrument. But if that's not super solid, I wouldn't do that. Stick to lap steel or just, slide guitar. But me, I've played slide guitar for years and years, and to me, this is the ultimate slide guitar. This is just... it's the ultimate slide guitar. So let's talk a little bit now more specifically about the levers. There's knee levers. I think you can see some stuff. I don't even have, this leg has levers that I don't use. I really only use, I think you can see me, they call this the A lever, or sorry, the A pedal, the B pedal, and then these levers right here. So I only use 4. This actually has 5 levers underneath. I'm like, that's enough for me. But here's the deal, right? So if this is an E chord, this first guy kicks up my B's to a C sharp, so that means that will turn my 1 chord into a 6 chord. That's a C sharp minor now. E, C sharp minor, E, C sharp minor. Cool, I can do it, no hands. I love that so much. If I kick both the A and B pedal down, that means my B's went up to a C sharp, my G sharps went up to an A. That means that's a 1 to a 4 chord. Nope, wrong note there. Again, check that. E. Here comes A. A back down to E. So that means, say I was, okay, I'm smart most of the time. Well, I'm smart about guitar, to be clear. That's about it. There's nothing else in this world I know about. I can speak with some expertise about guitar and music. But anyway, that means that's E, that's F, G. So that's kind of cool. That follows the same arrangement of notes as open E guitar does. So that means if this is a G chord, there's a C. Again, here's G, up, there's C. Here comes a D. Yay, there's my 1, 4, 5. 5. And of course, that's where vibrato comes in. Because you want to talk about an instrument that's never all the way in tune, that's pedal steel, because as you push a pedal down, the strings that aren't, they call it body drop, where those strings that aren't being pulled tend to flop a little bit as you pull tension on the other ones. It's just like a suspension bridge, man. And so the deal is this, and this is an interesting thing. I talk about this with guitar stuff, that if you were to purchase one of these, by the way, this one cost me $1,300 on Craigslist. We'll talk about where to find these things for less than $3,000 later on in the video. I talk about how important it is to write stuff down, to have a notebook or sketchbook where you're just like, what was I thinking about? What am I charting out? What am I doing? I literally, when I first got one of these, I sat around, I wrote out the tuning, and I wrote out every possible permutation of the pedals and sat there and did it, so that I realized, oh, dude, the magic of this instrument, it's actually kind of similar to the magic of the cage system, is that all the chords in the key are actually available right here where you are. Check it. 1 chord. Here's a 2. Here's a 3. I pull my knee that way. Here's a 4. Here's a 5 dominant 7. Here comes a 6. Here comes a 7 minor 7 flat 5. And resolve it. That's freaking cool. So again, one more time. 1 chord, 2 chord. You notice, watch my foot. Here comes the 3 chord, kick it, pull my knee that way. Here comes the 4 chord, watch my foot. Here comes the 5 dominant 7. See that? That kicked over there. The knee went over that way. Here comes the 6 chord. Here's the 7 minor 7 flat 5. And resolve it. And that's, yeah. And that's why I talk about, like, yeah, this is not an instrument to learn by rote. Again, cue the comments of people yelling at me. For me, again, I can only speak to how my brain works. For me, it's, yeah, it took a lot of like, oh, okay, so that moves that note to there. I understand how that chord gets made, so I can make the chords in my key. Now, you know, if were you to purchase the DeWitt Scott book, you know, he would talk about the other useful thing you'll see people do with this is and you saw me do it, is sweep through inversions. Again, that's just based on, yeah, sitting around and thinking about what the notes do. There's a G. If I kick my leg that way and that foot hitting just the A pedal, there's an inversion. That's actually root position. So that one's always a little squirrely. And then you got A and B down. So there's your 3 inversions. That's actually second inversion. Here's actually root position. Here's first inversion. And I'll tell you right now, the main pedal steel sound, if you're curious, is playing around with those A and B pedals, because there is your major pentatonic. Let's see here. There he is on my G chord. And like, you know, you can get miles and miles out of just doing that stuff. Where's the C? Where's my D? And you know, that's a huge thing. I'm not even really too worried about teaching this thing too much or talking about leads. To me, the most important thing is, you know, again, if we're talking about guitar as a textural device, what do I use this for? On a lot of my backing tracks, hiding in there is maybe 1 or sometimes even 2 of these, just doing. That's the main thing I just wanted to talk about, because, you know, people don't talk about these too much unless, you know, they're real, you know, there's some great pedal steel players on here. I'm not one of them. I'm a guitar teacher who happens to own a pedal steel and uses it on my backing tracks and my records. So please, I do not purport to be an expert at this or really a very good teacher of this, but hey, I own one and I love it. So yeah, this is what I do. This is my channel. Should you buy one? A good place to look around is the pedal. I think it's called the Steel Guitar Forum. Literally just called that. It's a well-moderated forum, and you can find, you know, they're not going to be cheap. Starter ones, I really like the Carter starter. That was what I started on, and even that, a starter pedal steel ain't cheap. I think those are around 700, 800. A new pedal steel is like $3,000. So you gotta shop around. I like this Fessenden. I used to have a GFI Ultra. Any of the GFIs are good pedal steels also. And in terms of versus lap steel, if you're like, cool, I'm good at slide guitar, should I do pedal steel or lap steel? It's actually interesting. I actually think that pedal steel in some ways is easier than lap steel, because lap steel, to do any of the things, you have to actually do bar slants because it doesn't have pedals and levers. Which I don't like as much. My buddy Phil, who plays with Sarah Shook, he's good at both pedal steel and lap steel. I should have him over here. Sweet guy. So I prefer to have a pedal steel just because I really like being able to go from a major chord and pull it minor. You know, that was a G to a B minor, like a G, B minor, C, back to G, you know, which is, well, that's the band, The Weight. I always sample that song. Pulled into Nazareth, was feeling about dead. I think that's all I wanted to cover. Just wanted to like talk about this instrument and share what it does. Again, like any, you guys stay? Oh, it's gonna stay. Which way? Oh. Like any instrument, I think about what it does, and honestly, like I've said with slide guitar, like even if you don't want to use the levers at all, you could just stay in those grips and just do. I feel like I could probably do some of my bluesier. Yeah, I could find some of my same licks. Kinda. There's my third. I could play it without the pedals and stuff like that, but I don't. To me, I use it for big swoops and things like that. You know, like even just having an overdub that just goes. I use that all the time. I love that sound. Just a very tragic sound. I'll leave it at that for this week. Thank you so much to everybody who supports me in all the ways that you do, even if it's just clicking like and subscribe, because I don't put ads on my channel. I depend on people investing in me and choosing to invest in me to stay in business, and it works. Y'all are great. I mean, you clicking like and subscribe keeps me in business, makes my life cool. I really appreciate it. I'm going to take a couple of weeks off for the holidays, so I'll see all y'all on the other side. I hope you have a good rest of the year. And as Bill and Ted would say, be excellent to each other. That includes yourself. Happy Friday. Eat pizza. I'm going to throw that backing track. That's Neil Young, Helpless, by the way. I'll throw that backing track up here as we fade out, and I'll just put that on Patreon. If you want to play along with that, you can grab that. Just a fun jam in D. That's it. There we go. I love this. I'm just taking a nap.